Draco's footsteps echo softly in the empty hallway, the only sound breaking the stillness of the castle. He's on his way to his next class, the route familiar, yet somehow eerily quiet without the usual noise of students chattering and hustling to their own classes. He's lost in thought as he walks, his head down, his expression serious. The silence, though strange, is also somewhat welcomed. It gives him space to think, to contemplate things he's been avoiding for months now. Draco pauses just outside the class, peering through the small window in the door. His gaze, sharp and piercing, lands on you, his expression a mix of surprise and something indiscernible. For a moment he just stares, as if he can't quite believe what, or who, he's seeing. His usually cold demeanor softens, just a fraction, before he swiftly regains his composure, his gaze hardening as he takes in the sight of you before him. Draco's gaze stays fixed on you through the window, now tinged with a hint of curiosity. He watches as you frantically search for something, your movements betraying a sense of urgency. His eyes narrow slightly, trying to fathom what might be going on. He stands there, silent and unmoving, observing your every move with an unreadable expression. There's a hint of something in his eyes, concern perhaps. Draco, maintaining his usual air of confidence, enters the class and approaches you with an air of authority. His gaze fixes on you, studying your tense expression and frantic movements. "What are you doing?" he demands, his voice cutting through the silence. There's a hint of command in his tone, as if he expects you to immediately answer him. Draco smirks at your eye roll, not at all surprised by your reaction. "Oh, is that so?" he replies, raising a perfectly arched eyebrow. "I never took you for the studious type." He leans against a nearby desk, crossing his arms, and continues. "And just how long have you been looking for this book of yours? You seem unusually frantic about it." Draco's smirk widens at your snappy retort. "Ah, there's that charming attitude I've missed so much." His tone is dripping with sarcasm as he continues to watch you rummage through the books. "You know," he drawls, pushing himself off the desk and taking a few slow steps towards you. "For someone trying to look for something, you seem awfully distracted." His gaze flicks up and down your form. "It seems you're paying more attention to me than your book." Draco's smirk falters for the briefest of moments, and there's a gleam in his eyes that betrays a mix of emotions he'd rather hide. He follows you silently and nonchalantly to the back of the class. "Dumped," he huffs out a dry laugh. "Is that what we're calling it now?" He leans against a bookshelf, watching as you search through another pile of books. "You know, I can't help but wonder if you still think about me," he says, the smirk returning. "You don't what?" Draco repeats, tilting his head slightly as he pushes off the bookshelf and takes a step closer to you. He studies your face, trying to read the expression in your eyes. "You don't think about me?" He lets the words hang in the air for a moment, a smirk playing at the corner of his mouth. "Really? Not even a little bit?" The sound of approaching footsteps and chattering students outside the classroom causes Draco's demeanor to shift from playful to serious. He glances from the door back to you, his expression urgent, before he swiftly reaches out and tugs you into the closet. The closet is small and dark, and the sudden movement causes you to stumble slightly into Draco's chest. He steadies you, his hand gripping your arm to prevent you from falling. Draco hushes you, his grip on your arm tightening just a fraction as he positions himself in front of you. He lowers his voice to a mere whisper. "Unless you want to be caught in here and get detention, you should probably keep quiet," he murmurs, his gaze fixed on the door, listening intently for the sound of anyone passing by. Draco stays pressed against the door, his gaze flicking towards the crack you're peeking through. He huffs softly, the sound barely audible. "Looks like it," he whispers, his voice tinged with a hint of annoyance. They're lining up for the class now. His hand, still gripping your arm, shifts slightly, his grip loosening a fraction but not letting go entirely. There's a moment of silence before he speaks again, his tone low and careful. "We're going to be stuck in here for a while." Inside the cramped closet, a sudden silence falls over both you and Draco as the professor outside begins the class. The mention of sex ed takes you both by surprise, a sense of shock and unexpectedness filling the space between you. Draco's grip on your arm tightens instinctively. He shifts a little, his gaze still fixed on the crack in the door, though his focus seems to be a bit more divided now. Draco's reaction is swift, his hand darting out to grip your waist firmly as you attempt to turn around and look out the door. He pulls you back into the closet, so your back is now pressed against his chest. "Idiot," he mutters, his voice barely above a whisper. "Are you trying to get us caught?" He keeps his grip on your waist firm, his body pressed against yours in the narrow confines of the closet. Draco continues to hold you firmly against him, his grip on your waist tight as he shushes you again, his breath warm against your ear. He leans in close, his lips nearly touching your earlobe as he whispers, "I said keep quiet. We don't need anyone hearing us in here." His body is pressed flush against yours in the cramped space, and you can feel the steady rise and fall of his chest as he stands behind you. Draco hears your whispered protest and can't help but give a soft huff of agreement. "Trust me, I don't want to listen to this either," he whispered back, his grip on your waist loosening ever so slightly but remaining present. There's a hint of annoyance in his tone, mixed with a tinge of resignation. "But we don't exactly have a choice, do we?" As the professor outside continues the sex ed class, Draco lets out a stifled sigh, his breath brushing past your neck, creating a subtle shiver down your spine. Draco reacts instantaneously to your request, his hand shooting up to cover your mouth, silencing your protest with a swift motion. He leans in close, his chest pressed against your back, his voice now a sharp and urgent whisper. "One more word out of you, and I swear I'll..." He pauses, the air between you charged with a mix of tension and a strange sense of proximity. His hand remains firmly over your mouth, his grip unyielding. The silence envelops us once again as the class continues. The professor's words about arousal and attraction fill the air, adding an extra layer of discomfort to the already tense situation in the closet. With Draco's hand tightly covering your mouth, your breath becomes rapid and shallow, his fingertips lightly grazing your cheeks. The close proximity in the tight space only amplifies the intensity of the moment. Draco's gaze, though still fixed on the crack in the door, drifts momentarily downwards, settling on your neck. He can't seem to help this instinctual shift in focus, his breathing becoming slightly more ragged as he realizes how close he is to you. The proximity between you in the confined closet is intimate in a way that he can't ignore, and he finds himself unable to resist the urge to test the waters, to see if his closeness is having any effect on you. Draco's lips brush against the nape of your neck, a soft, almost imperceptible touch. It's a gesture that's both tentative and yet filled with a certain sense of familiarity. He lingers there for a moment, his breath warm against your skin, before he continues speaking in a low, gruff voice. As he leans in even closer, the words he whispers are tinged with a hint of seduction. His lips graze your neck once more, the action a gentle yet persistent reminder. "Did you miss this?" he murmurs, his voice deep and husky. There's a hint of possessive longing in his tone, as if he's asking not just if you missed this intimate touch, but if you've missed him as well. Draco can feel your body shifting as you fight against the wave of pleasure coursing through you. He senses your struggle, the tension in your shoulders, the way your eyes flutter closed in response to his touch. He leans in closer, his hand still grasping your waist as his lips find that sensitive spot on your neck again. This time the kiss is more firm, more deliberate, and he lingers there a moment longer before speaking in a low, ragged tone. As the professor continues discussing the topic, Draco's lips brush against your ear once more, his voice a low, seductive whisper. "You know, they're still talking about arousal in there," he murmurs, his words punctuated by a subtle shift in his stance, bringing him even closer to you, his body now fully flush against yours in the cramped space. There's a hint of desire in his tone, his breath warm against your neck as he adds, "I wonder how aroused I can make you in here." Draco, still holding his hand firmly over your mouth, leans in close once more. This time, his lips brushing against your earlobe, he whispers, "I'm not moving my hand, you know, because I know just how loud you can be. And yes, I remember." The words are spoken with a cocky smirk evident in his tone, as if he knows exactly how the sound of his voice, the proximity and the memory of your moans will affect you. His body remains pressed against yours in the small space, a constant reminder of the intimacy and intensity of the moment. Draco's hand on your waist begins to move its journey downward, tracing a path across the fabric of your skirt. His touch is slow but purposeful, his fingertips skating lightly over your skin. As he moves his hand, his breath fans over your neck in a low, ragged rhythm. The closeness between you becomes even more palpable, the energy in the cramped space charged with an undeniable tension. Draco's hand, now beneath your skirt, glides up your thigh, his touch gentle yet possessive. He can feel the smooth skin beneath his fingertips, the heat radiating from within you. The hand remains over your mouth, a possessive move to remind you of his control. He leans in even closer, the space between you filled with breath and an electricity that's undeniable. "You remember this, don't you?" he whispers huskily, his voice filled with a possessive growl. Draco notices the shift in your breathing, the way your eyes flutter shut in response to his touch. It fuels his desire, the knowledge that he can still affect you in this way. "That's right," he whispers, his own breath rough and ragged in your ear. "You remember how good this feels, don't you? How much you like it when I touch you like this." His hand continues to move over your thigh, each stroke growing bolder and more possessive as he presses even closer to you in the cramped space. Draco's hand moves even higher, settling between your thighs, his touch now more intimate and possessive than ever. You feel the warmth of his skin against yours, his fingers gently spreading your legs apart as he presses you more fully against him in the cramped space. His breathing is ragged now, his lips still barely touching your neck, the contact sending shivers down your spine. "Tell me you want this," he murmurs, his voice rough and filled with a raw desire. Draco's lips find your neck once more, his kisses growing more urgent as his fingers glide over the fabric between your legs, igniting a fire within you. He can feel your reactions, every twitch and tremble, the way your body responds to his touch. He takes his time, his movements slow and sensual, teasing and exploring every inch of you. "You're so sensitive," he whispers, his voice tinged with a low growl of satisfaction. "I could make you moan so loud right now, but I won't. With his hand still between your legs, Draco shifts his focus, his middle and ring fingers moving in a slow, deliberate rhythm over the fabric. You can feel the pressure and the friction building, the touch igniting a fire within you. He's watching your every reaction, the way the breath catches in you as he works his fingers against you. He leans in even closer, his lips brushing against the sensitive skin of your neck as he murmurs, "You like this, don't you? You like it when I touch you like this." As the outside world continues with the sound of the professor teaching in the background, Draco's lips find your neck once more. This time, his kisses become more possessive, his lips gently suckling and nipping at the sensitive skin. You can feel the effect his touch is having on you, the soft gasps and the way your body responds to every touch. His movements become more demanding, his hands and fingers continuing to work their magic, the sound of the professor's voice only serving to intensify the moment. Draco's grip on you relaxes, his hand moving away from your body as he takes a step back, letting the cool air rush in between you. He lets out a laugh, a hint of sarcasm in his tone as he says, "Sorry, for a moment I forgot you were my ex there." His demeanor becomes distant once more, the intimacy of the moment replaced by the familiar, biting sarcasm. "Can't blame me though. You're still so easy to tease, aren't you?" As you turn to look at him, your eyes betraying your unspoken desires, Draco catches your gaze. He takes in the look in your eyes, the way you're silently telling him that you want more of him, that you haven't had enough. His demeanor softens slightly, the sarcastic tone replaced with a hint of a smirk. He knows exactly what you're saying without words, and he can't deny the effect it's having on him. "You want more, don't you?" he whispers, his voice low and huskier. "You still want me?" Draco's gaze shifts towards the crack in the closet door, his attention momentarily drawn to the activity outside. He can hear the students packing up their bags, their chatter and laughter as they hurry to leave the classroom. He turns back to you, his eyes locking with yours once more. There's a hint of restraint in his features, as if he's holding back from giving in to his own desires. You peer through the crack in the door, watching as the last of the students trickle out of the classroom. They exchange hushed conversations and gather their belongings, seemingly unaware of the concealed closet in the back. As the last student leaves and the classroom falls into silence, you turn your attention back to Draco, who remains in the close confines of the closet with you. With a mix of urgency and desire, Draco closes the gap between you, his hand grasping your face as he pulls you into a passionate kiss. His body presses against yours, pinning you against the wall as the kiss deepens, his tongue seeking entry and exploring your mouth with a raw, possessive hunger. He cups your face with both hands now, his touch firm but tender, as if he's relishing the feeling of your lips against his. The restraint from earlier is gone, replaced by a fierce determination as he intensifies the kiss, his body moulding against yours in the cramped space. You lean into the kiss, your body responding to his touch with equal hunger and desire. Your own hands find their way to his shoulders, gripping him tightly as you return his kiss with fervor. Draco's body presses even closer, trapping you against the wall. He takes control of the kiss, his tongue exploring your mouth with a mix of hunger and familiarity. It's as if the years apart have vanished, and the chemistry between you is palpable and intense. Draco breaks the kiss, his breathing ragged and his gaze filled with need. He takes a moment to catch his breath, his hand still cupping your face as he whispers fervently, "Finally, I've been craving your lips for months." His voice is gravelly and his eyes are darkened with desire. It's as if the kiss has reignited something within him, a deep, smouldering flame that's been ignited by the taste of you. Your panting intensifies, your chest rising and falling in ragged rhythm as you look up at him towering over you in the small space. Draco's gaze is filled with a mix of desire and intensity. He can see the effect he has on you, his eyes running over your form, taking in every gasp and shudder. His body presses closer once more, trapping you against the wall as he leans in, his lips brushing against your neck. Draco's lips move against your neck, leaving a trail of soft kisses as he murmurs, "Missed me, darling?" There's a hint of a smirk in his tone, as if he knows the answer already. His hands move down your sides, his touch possessive and demanding as he continues to explore your body with his lips and fingers. You can't escape him this time. His body is flush against yours, pinning you against the wall in the cramped and dark space of the closet. His lips find your neck once more, his kisses more heated and demanding than before. Draco's touch becomes more possessive, his hands gripping you tighter as he claims you. It's as if he's making up for lost time for every moment apart. He's not letting you go, not this time.